Hello, friends of the Montreal Chamber Music Festival. This is James Ehnes coming to you from my quarantine house north of Ottawa. I am here for 14 days before performances for Bravo Niagara. We're going to be filming a recital in St. Catharines, Ontario, then 2 performances with the National Arts Centre Orchestra, 1 chamber performance with the Beethoven String Quintet Opus 29, where I will be playing second viola, and 1 performance of the Beethoven Septet, and then a performance of the violin concerto with the National Arts Centre Orchestra and Alexander Shelley, my dear friend. I then go on to Toronto for 4 performances at Kerner Hall's Beethoven Festival. I was very fortunate to get to co-curate this festival with their amazing impresario there, Mervan Mehta. We put together an amazing festival for Beethoven's 250th anniversary, and a lot of that, of course, had to change. A lot of people that were due to come couldn't come. A lot of repertoire that we were looking forward to having was no longer possible. But Mervan, being the visionary that he is, and with the great support of Kerner Hall and the Royal Conservatory of Music, we are going ahead with quite a bit of that, and I'll be performing with the New Orford String Quartet, my great friends there. I'll be joining them also on second viola for that, for the Beethoven Opus 29 String Quintet. Then we'll be joined by Charles Richard Hamelin for the Chausson Concert for violin, piano, and string quartet. One of my absolute favorite things in the world, that piece. And then I'll be playing, over the course of 3 concerts, the 10 sonatas for violin and piano, or I suppose more accurately for piano and violin, technically, of Beethoven with Stuart Goodyear, wonderful, amazing, incredible pianist that I've had the pleasure of working with before, but not for quite a while, so that will be exciting. Anyway, all this to say that there's reason for me to come up to Canada and do this quarantine, and it is not a burden because I'm here with my family, my wife and my 2 kids, and we have been lucky enough with the help of the National Arts Centre to find this absolutely gorgeous cottage up in the woods, about 90 minutes north of Ottawa. And yeah, so right now life is not too bad. I've got plans to document a little bit of this experience for some of you and play a little bit of music for you on my last day. Hello everyone. As you can see, we had a beautiful snowfall last night, so we've been enjoying the morning sledding, and I'm going to attempt to break the family distance record, and hopefully that's all I will break. So stay tuned, it's going to be awesome.
Ooh, nice run.
It's not been an easy last 8 months for anyone in the music world. I'm sure you're all very much aware of that. It was March 12th. I was in New York City when my personal career fell apart. March 12th was the day for, I think, a lot of musicians in North America that things started off that morning cautious yet optimistic that we were going to escape what had at that point already started to shut down the music world and other parts of the world. But that was the day that reality really came crashing down on everyone. I was in rehearsal at 9 a.m. with my quartet for performances starting that evening. The concerts were canceled at 9:30. At 10, I was on my way to Newark Airport, and by 1 p.m., I was home in Florida, and I didn't leave until late June, which was pretty extraordinary. I have to say, being in my part of Florida, the West Coast, sort of halfway between St. Petersburg and Sarasota, during that time of the year was a real joy, because that's really the best time of year to be there. But all the uncertainty was, of course, really painful. And in retrospect, if someone had just said, the music world will stop now and it will start up again on such and such a day, I think I would have been quite happy with that. And I would have said, great, I'll see you all then. But As we know now, there's still no definitive date when things will be able to get back to normal. So it's been important for artists to find a path forward, find a way through. It's New String Day. It's day 2 of quarantine here in our beautiful cabin in Quebec. And I have new strings that I have never used before. These are actually a trial set from Thomastic Infeld in Vienna. Their famous string, the Dominant brand, is something I used for many, many years before moving over to their Peter Infeld brand. Now this is a new string they've just developed called Dominant Pro. So I'm going to give it a try. And I'm very persnickety about the way I change my strings. Take off the old ones, use graphite on the bridge, use graphite at the nut, use wax on the nut to fill the groove, to just get rid of any weirdnesses that are in there, and then hopefully get it strung up in such a way that it's not incredibly uncomfortable, the angle for tuning. So I'll check back in with you a little bit later, because this is not interesting for anyone to watch. But I'm very excited about these new strings. The team at Thomastic Infeld is a great group of people that are really passionate about what they do, so I'm sure they're going to come up with something great. For me, my personal journey started, I suppose, pretty much right away with the exploration of some music that had been sitting on my piano for some time waiting for attention. It was a great chance to dive into some lesser played Schumann, both violin and some piano music. I still occasionally play the piano, an instrument that I loved to play very, very much in my youth, but I consider myself a retired pianist, so I briefly came out of retirement during the quarantine to practice a bit. Some viola music. I play the viola quite a bit, but during a regular season I might only have a couple of patches a year where I play, so that was a nice opportunity. This is the 4th movement from the Hindemith Sonata for solo viola, opus 25, number 1. This is one of the most famous pieces for the solo viola. Hindemith very helpfully wrote above this movement that tone is of secondary importance, which sounds a bit like a viola joke in itself. But anyway, it's a wonderfully exciting piece. The whole sonata is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to, having loved the piece for so many years, my very first performance of it in 2 days. Filming that for Bravo Niagara. We're filming it in St. Catharines. Looking forward to that very much. So, hope you enjoy this. Hi again. I've got something fun to show you all. My luthier and very good friend John Becker has made me these little guys that, you always want to make sure your bridge is at the right angle. And I can frankly eyeball it pretty well at this point, but he made this little template where if you stick it right on the center line, you can see if there's any space at all that the bridge needs to come back ever so slightly. And now, and now I know I'm 100% where I want to be. This violin is very, very sensitive to little changes like that. One time he moved the bass foot of the bridge by, I believe it was said a half a millimeter, and it made a profound difference in the sound of the instruments. So, yeah. Anyway, I look forward to breaking these in, and again, many thanks to Tomastic Infeld for this trial set. I am proud to be a Tomastic Infeld artist. As the shutdown went on longer, there were some European festivals that I had been due to play at in late May, early June that got in touch saying that, well, our seasons are not going to proceed as planned, but if you were able to, we'd like to hire you to produce some content from your homes. So I said, of course, great, no problem. Not having any idea how to do that, and certainly not having any equipment with which to do that. It was a steep learning curve, but I learned that if you're willing, as I was, to take terrible advantage of lots of friends and ask them for all their time and expertise to help, you can do pretty amazing things. So I got in touch with my great friend, my regular producer in London, Simon Kiln, who gave me all sorts of advice, including microphones. I purchased a nice set of Telefunken microphones that ended up being sort of my best friends for the next couple of months. And then I got in touch with some other great friends in London, a photographer friend of ours, Benjamin A. La Vega, who has taken most of my CD covers of the last decade or so, and his friend Richard Wilson and Edmund Beck, and they helped me on the video side of things. And I taped a recital for the Prague Spring Festival with my new microphones and audio interface and my iPhone. And I think it turned out pretty well, and I thought, well, maybe I should do more with this. And this led to an idea for a project I called my Recitals from Home that really was my big project of June, I guess, where I had naturally, as a violinist, really found some comfort in the solo sonatas and partitas of J.S. Bach, and I'd also decided to do kind of a deep dive into the solo violin sonatas of Eugène Ysaÿe. I had played some of Ysaÿe's sonatas a lot over the years, but I'd gotten kind of lazy and had basically just been playing the third sonata, the famous ballade for... I'd played that a lot and the others very little or not at all. And I thought, I should really get back into this repertoire. So I designed a concert series of 6 performances from my home, where I paired one of the Bach suites with one of the Ysaÿe sonatas, and there's some very natural pairings there. And I filmed these in my living room, I guess you'd say, but it was not really my living room at that point because I took out all the furniture and rolled up the rugs and basically turned it into a resonant rectangle, which ended up being a very, very nice, very good sounding recording studio. I was lucky to not have to deal with all sorts of post-production and fake reverb and this and that. I basically recorded in the middle of the night, as it was the only time that was really quiet enough, both from street noise and from kid noise. So that was an odd schedule to keep, going to bed kind of early, setting the alarm for midnight, getting up, trying to get myself awake, and I had my whole list of things to do, which lamps to turn on and how to focus the cameras and check the white balance and make sure everything's plugged in and turn off the breaker for the refrigerator. And there was a lot to think about. And then, of course, playing the music and recording the ridiculous spoken introductions that are probably about 2 minutes long in each case for each of these performances, but they probably took me as long to record that spoken intro as it did to record the entire sonata. So anyway, this was a project I was very proud of, and you can find it on my website, a shameless plug for it here. If you go to jamesehnes.com, there is a tab for recitals from home, and I hope you enjoy it. But after that, I was very happy that I'd managed, with this great support of our board and our executive director, to continue forward with my chamber music festival, the Seattle Chamber Music Society's Summer Festival, which runs through the month of July. We turned it into an entirely streamed event. We had as many musicians as were comfortable coming out to Seattle, came out to Seattle, and we recorded in our little sort of COVID bubble. Everyone was tested, and no one was allowed access to our facility until they had a negative test result. And we have this beautiful new facility there with sort of a salon space that we like to call the living room, and so we recorded a lot of the content there, and we also got the musicians that were engaged for our festival but weren't able to come. We got them to produce content for us remotely, and we had performances from New York and Montreal and Amsterdam and Berlin, and really all over the world. It was a very exciting thing, and I was very proud that all the musicians that were contracted to work with us were at least given the chance to make their money and, and provide some music for our audiences. And I feel proud of that because I know, being one of those musicians, how much it meant to have something to do and some money during that time. I then, later in the summer, I went out to my great friend Inan Barnatan's festival in La Jolla, where he was able to sort of push his dates back a little bit and reinvent a somewhat shorter but still absolutely wonderful online festival. That was, again, a group of 6 or 7 of us, maybe, great friends making great music. That meant a lot. And when I got together with my quartet, and we decided we had a certain amount of time. I think we had 10 days, something like that, and we decided we were going to record Beethoven quartets, as many as we could get through. And we sort of started at the end and worked our way backwards. We had been playing the quartet cycle all year, so it was music that was very much in our minds and in our hearts and in our fingers. So we managed to record all of the late quartets, as well as the Opus 74 and the Opus 95 quartets. So 4 CDs worth. We recorded them at beautiful, beautiful concert hall at Mercer University in Macon, Georgia. And amazingly, they were produced remotely by Simon Kiln, my wonderful friend and producer in London. It's amazing what technology can do. We had the equipment set up by the other violinist in our quartet, Amy Moretti, her husband, Steve Moretti, in addition to being a fantastic musician, drum player, percussionist. He is a recording engineer, which worked out very well for us. So we had him do all the setup and work with Simon remotely and get us plugged into him. And it was absolutely amazing recording in Georgia for a producer listening in real time, and it felt like he was right there with us from his home studio in London. So then the fall came, and I think of this entire fall season, maybe 3 weeks have remained intact from what was planned, which has been kind of heartbreaking. Some very, very special things I was really looking forward to have disappeared. But that has opened up a lot of time for other opportunities, and it's been really incredible seeing the organizations that have gone ahead with something. And I've, in addition to this trip to Canada, I came for another Canadian trip with another Canadian quarantine at the end of August, preceding concerts with l'Orchestre Symphonique de Montréal, who had booked me to open their season, and they kept their promise, and we did it. And there were very few people in the hall. It was mainly just to be recorded and streamed, but it meant so much. And to step out in front of an orchestra again, and that orchestra of all orchestras, I mean, what an amazing experience that was. Something I'll never forget, with l'Orchestre Symphonique de Montréal and Bernard Labadie playing the Beethoven Violin Concerto and playing some chamber music up there as well. And then I did some tapings, no audiences, but recordings with the Vancouver Symphony. That was wonderful. Played a recital at the Lanaudière Festival, played a recital at the gorgeous Isabel Bader Auditorium at Queen's University. Went back to America and had a really kind of a wonderful experience of getting in the car with my wife and kids and playing a concert in Jacksonville and playing a concert in Macon, Georgia, continuing up to Raleigh, North Carolina, working with some of the musicians of the North Carolina Symphony for a taping of Beethoven's Septet. Later, doing a weekend with the Houston Symphony of a play direct program where I played the Mendelssohn Concerto without conductor for the first time in my career. I've done a fair number of these types of conductorless performances, but Mendelssohn was a new one for me, and that orchestra is so fantastic. They did a great job. And the Lark Ascending, a beautiful piece by Philip Herbert called Elegy. And what else did I play on that concert? Oh, I guess that's it for that one. But it's been, despite everything, a really interesting and rewarding autumn season for me, and I know that I am very, very, very fortunate to have had a lot more to do than a lot of my colleagues, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful to any of you that are watching that have supported the arts and artists through this time. Hello again, everyone. It's New String Day again. I didn't end up enjoying those other ones quite as much as I'd hoped, so I'm going back to my regular Peter Infeld strings. Hopefully these will be better. And yeah, this is my nice double case here with my beautiful Case K Hori viola, made in about 2013, I believe, and this one that was made somewhat earlier. A little plug about the Montreal Chamber Music Festival. You know, this is an organization that has meant so much to me over the years. I most recently was with you all just last summer, so I suppose the last festival you were able to have, playing the cycle of Beethoven sonatas. But I hope that all music lovers and supporters will understand how important their support of the arts is at this time. And of course, you know, not just sending in a check and doing what you can that way, but sending your encouragement to young musicians, looking to see what's out there, discovering the new talent. You know, for me, I'm a lucky person. I've had a lot of years to sort of build up a career, and thankfully that has meant that people have been in touch with me to do things right now. But, you know, I think about some of my younger colleagues that this was their time, this was their moment, this was their opportunity to have those debut performances, to have those experiences, and that's being taken from them. So when you see a young musician put something out there, if it's on social media or whatever it may be, you know, give it a listen, and if you like it, send along your encouragement. It'll mean more to them than you may think. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy looking at these little slices of my life from this 2-week quarantine, and I hope you enjoy the performance. This is the Caprice number 10, Klaga, or Lament, by Sophie Carmen Eckhart Gramate. Great Canadian composer, born in Moscow, spent her young life in Europe. This piece was actually written in 1934 in Vienna. It's a piece I've been playing for 35 years, about. The Eckhart Gramate Caprices were recorded and edited by my beloved teacher, Francis Chaplin. So I hope you enjoy this, the Caprice number 10 by Sophie Carmen Eckhart Gramate. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you to the Montreal Chamber Music Festival for having me involved.